Hello and welcome to the Leadership Programs Information Session. We're going to give it just a minute to get people logged in. I see people slowly coming in, so welcome. We're so glad you're here to learn a little bit more about all of our leadership program offerings with UC Davis Continuing and Professional Education. This is great. I'm seeing people come in rapidly, so welcome. Thank you for taking time on this dreary, if you're located in Sacramento, this dreary, rainy morning. Hope everybody stayed dry last night. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started with some introductions, and I'm sure there will be people joining us along the way. But again, welcome to the Leadership Programs Information Session at UC Davis Continuing and Professional Education. We're so glad you're here. I am Jennifer Keller. I'm on the right-hand side there. I am the Associate Director for the Management and Leadership Programs here at UC Davis Continuing and Professional Education. And I'm joined with my colleague, Bridget.
Hi, everyone.
Bridget is our program specialist with our leadership programs, and she is your main go-to for any questions and follow-up, and we'll have her contact information displayed again at the end. Please go ahead and use the Q&A box to ask questions throughout, and then we will have moments in the presentation where we pause and review those questions in the Q&A section. So please go ahead. We may not respond immediately, but we do have times throughout the presentation we'll be pausing to respond to those. I am also very excited to welcome Janet Marl with us today. And Janet, why don't you take just a minute to introduce yourself?
Thanks, Jennifer. Welcome, everybody. I'm Janet, and as you can see on the slide, I'm a leadership coach and a consultant and part of the instructor team at the Continuing and Professional Education with UC Davis. I am part of the executive leadership team with them, and I teach some classes for them, as well as having my own business. And I'm just really excited to be here and to let everybody know about the conversational intelligence class coming up.
Yes, and we are so excited to have you, Janet. So as Janet mentioned, she will, in just a few minutes, give you a preview of our upcoming specialized skill program on conversational intelligence. It's a brand new offering, and we could not be more excited about it. So we are going to give you a taste of that in just a couple minutes. But before we do, let's look at the agenda for today. So today's agenda, we already got through the welcome, so you can cross that off your list if you're a list checker-offer. So welcome. We're going to turn it over to Janet in just a couple minutes to talk about conversational intelligence, and then we'll go over some of the logistics for that. She's going to give you a preview of the content. Then we're going to spend some time talking about our supervisory skills program. This will be series 2 that's coming up in the spring. Then we're going to talk about our management development program, and we're going to give you a preview of an assessment that is included in that program called the DISC assessment. We're going to just briefly mention our executive leadership program. We had a full information session on that program yesterday, which will be available for your viewing pleasure shortly, but we just wanted to make sure we mentioned that we do offer that program as well. And then we will pause throughout the information session to answer your questions. We'll have a pause after each section to make sure we get your questions answered. And we're excited to tell you about, Bridget.
Yes, thank you everyone for joining us this morning. So I wanted to just let you all know that as a thank you for attending this information session, you'll receive a discount of a $100 coupon, $100 off any one of our programs, conversational intelligence, supervisory skills, or a management development program. And if you stay with us, we will, you will actually find out how you can get that coupon.
Great, thank you. All right, we have our first poll just to get us warmed up here. So our first poll is, how many years of supervision or management experience do you have? 1 to 5, 10 to 15, more than 15, or you're looking to step into supervision. So if you can just take a minute to do that. I see people are coming in. I'm going to give it just a little bit. Looks like we have quite a few that are wanting to step into supervision. If you haven't voted yet, I'm going to give it about another 10 seconds. Okay, it looks like we have wanting to step into supervision are about half of you. We have 1 to 5 years and 10 to 15 years, and we don't have anybody with more than 10 to 15 years, which is actually perfect for this information session in terms of experience, because these programs are really geared to those in that middle management or new to supervision, except for our conversational intelligence, which is really for anybody, which we'll talk about. So these are the 4 programs and their dates. Conversational intelligence is coming up soon, just about a month away. Starts on Valentine's Day, and then but you end in time if you have Valentine's dinner plans. So the classes run 9 to 4, and they're spaced each a week apart on the 14th, the 21st, and the 28th. We have our executive leadership program that launches on March 28th, and that is 8 consecutive weeks from 1:30 to 8 p.m. And as I mentioned, we had the information session for that yesterday, so we won't get into all the details today. I just wanted to make sure you were aware of that in case you had someone that you knew that might be interested in that. It is an application-based program. Then we have our Supervisory Skills Series 2, which is launching April 3rd. We're really thrilled to be able to offer morning and afternoon sections. We'll talk more about the logistics in that, but it gives you the maximum amount of flexibility for that program. And then finally, launching May 8th, we have our Management Development Program, which is 3 consecutive weeks, the 8th, the 15th, and the 22nd, also from 9 to 4. So we will be getting into the details of 3 of those 4 programs in the series today. So with that, I would like to turn it over to Janet to talk about conversational intelligence.
Great, thanks so much. Well, I am very excited about this class, and I'm really excited that many of you are starting out in your supervising and management careers, because this class will give you the skills and tools and awareness so you can start out really strong. Because I think all of us have had some experiences where some conversations just don't go as well as we might want them to. So Bridget, if you can pull up that first slide. Out of Stanford a few years ago, they did some research that basically said that 9 out of 10 of our conversations really miss the mark. There's something missing, something gets left out. Maybe it's one of those 90%, in a conversation, 90% of what was said, and then 10% was held back for some reason. Or when you leave a conversation, you go, okay, that was okay, but it really wasn't that home run conversation. And when we come to wanting to have great conversations, we want to have those communication times with people that we really get what we want. So when we look at communication, there are some gaps usually. If you can go on the next slide. In our conversations, there's usually something that needs to happen. There's a gap that needs to be bridged. And for many of us, we have that conversation, and we hope that at the end of that conversation, that gap will be filled. So we take a flying leap out, and sometimes we make it to the other edge, and sometimes we miss totally, and sometimes we grab onto the edge and just hope to dear life that the next conversation will finish it for us. But with conversational intelligence, We want to increase that certainty and that confidence that our conversations are actually going to get us where we want to go. We want to be able to have that straight line crossing that gap with confidence that, yes, we know what we're doing and we can bridge that gap. So so you go on the next slide. The conversational intelligence is the work of Judith E. Glaser, who is was unfortunately, she passed away this fall, but Judith did a phenomenal amount of work with the neuroscience and the understanding of what makes conversations great. She was a world-class coach and Fortune 100 consultant, and she built a wealth of knowledge and understanding about conversations. And so all of what we're going to be learning in the class is based on her work. I think all of us, her tagline is the next level of greatness depends on the quality of the culture, which depends on the quality of the relationships, which depends on the quality of the conversations. There's a lot of talk about creating healthy and productive cultures in our organizations. And those cultures enable the organization to be what it wants to be and do what it wants to do. And our conversations are the things that are at the apex or the pivot point of those cultures. You can just think about your homes. When things are going well in your home, the culture is great in your home, everything is going great. But if something turns and it's not quite right, it's usually, if you want to get to that next greatness of your home being what you want it to be, that depends on the quality of your relationships. And the quality of those relationships usually start with how you're talking to each other. And bringing that idea into our organizations is no different. So if you go on to the next one, there are 3 key components to conversational intelligence that creates those wonderful conversations. And that is establishing an understanding of caring. And we all know that we will speak differently to people that we know truly care about either us or what we're doing or what we have to say, and those who do not. And when we can raise that level of caring in our conversations, that increases the amount of candor that can happen. People actually say what they're thinking, which then builds the courage to act on what's going on, to make those changes, to move forward an idea, or to just draw out the best performance in others. For those of you who are wanting to step into supervising people, or those who are going from supervision into management, you know that your best efforts in getting done what you need to get done will come when you can get the best out of your people. And having those great conversations and being able to do that is crucial for that. So if you go on to the next slide, the conversational dashboard is kind of where we start in conversational intelligence, and it involves the neuroscience, what happens in our brains when we have different kinds of conversations, what kinds of words, what kinds of questions create different dynamics within a conversation. And you can see that if you have low trust in a relationship, those conversations are going to be met with resistance, with skepticism. But as the trust builds in your conversation and in your relationship, you can shift to, okay, I'll wait and see. Okay, now I'm willing to engage, to where I'm really wanting to partner with the person I'm having a conversation with, or the team that I'm in, or the department that I work in. In conversational intelligence, what we want to do is create the capacity with skills and tools to move people from that protection side over to that partnering side. So everybody is working in a creative space, in a cooperative space, where that resistance is way down and people are willing to put out their best for you, and you're willing to put out your best for them as well. So what will, so if you go on the next one, what the course looks like is at 3 consecutive Thursdays. So on day 1, we get to the basics of the neuroscience conversation, what goes on in your brain, what triggers certain things, what words can do different things. And you get 5 essential skills to practice that day. You also get a report. Before the class, you take a very short assessment that then gives you a report to see what your conversation patterns tend to be. So you can see, what do I do that will tend to maybe create someone to protect themselves? And what do I do in my conversation patterns that will bring somebody else out to where they'll want to partner with me at a greater level? So we'll go over those. And then we talk about different types of conversations. And this is where conversational intelligence differentiates itself from other types of conversation classes or courses that you might be familiar with. For instance, some of you might be familiar with difficult conversations or those types of classes that are popular. This is different from that. This talks about this, in this class you learn about different types of conversations, what they're useful for, when they're not useful, how to distinguish when you're in one or another, and what you can do to move in and out of different levels of conversation that will get you what you need out of that. So your conversation actually hits the mark. And I think it's really funny that day 1 is on Valentine's Day. So we'll spend all day practicing and learning all kinds of fun skills. And then that night you'll be able to go out and practice them. I'll be really interested to see what kind of different conversations you guys might have. Then you have a plan that you're going to kind of practice for a week. And then we come back on the second day, that next Thursday. And this is when you are going to get tools that match your group's needs. So on day 1, I'm going to ask you, what kinds of conversation challenges do you have? What kinds of things do you want to learn? And then on day 2, we're going to take your desires and your needs, and I'm going to customize a treasure chest of tools that are specifically designed for you. And we're going to go through them, we're going to learn them, we're going to practice them, and you're going to explore and figure out, okay, where do I want to try out that tool? Is there a particular person that I'm working with that I would like to try this out with? Or am I going to lead a meeting soon that this might just be a perfect fit for? And you'll have some time to practice that. You kind of have a week or 2 to say, okay, how can I get some traction with these? Then the next week we come back, and this is a day that we learn a 7-step process for being the architect of your own conversations. Many times conversations miss the mark because they're not planned out well. And we just walk into them and just let them happen. And then at the end of them, we can say, oh, that went really well. Or, oh my gosh, that went sideways fast and I didn't know how to recover that. Or you leave a conversation of going, I thought that might go differently. So this is a 7-step process that you can learn, that you prepare yourself for the conversation so you can maximize the results, and your people that you're leading will be able to get the best out of their conversations as well. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. It's all very practical, in the moment, ready to use these the next day, practice them. And we are always using what you are currently experiencing in your workplace or in your life that you want to improve on. And we just make it fit exactly what you need. So there you go.
That's it. I love it. Thank you so much, Janet. And I am chuckling about day 1 and the timing being on Valentine's Day. We couldn't have planned that better, right? I love it. So in fact, I think I might need to sit in for my own benefit. Thank you so much, Janet. And Bridget's going to just kind of review some of the logistics, and then we'll pause and see if there's any questions for Janet or on the logistics.
Yes, thank you, Janet. So for the conversational intelligence, it's, as Janet described, it's a 3-day program on Thursdays for 3 consecutive Thursdays. And that is from 9 to 4. There is morning refreshments that are included in this program. So the total cost for this program is $17.95. And if there is a group of 3 or more, you get a 10% discount. And also, if you enroll before or at least by February 1st, you also receive the 10% discount as well. And as I had said in the beginning, there is also a $100 off coupon for viewing this information session, and you will get the details more toward the end of this session.
Great, thank you, Bridget. So we're going to pause and check the Q&A box to see if we have any questions for the conversational intelligence before we move on to the supervisory skills. So if there's any questions, please go ahead and type those in. Not seeing any questions yet. Okay, we're going to go ahead and keep this open, or we'll open it again when we get to the supervisory. So if there are any questions that come up related to the conversational intelligence, please go ahead and ask those via the Q&A box, and we will monitor them. Okay, Bridget, did you just want to briefly mention the executive program?
Yeah, so yesterday we did have our information session for the Executive Leadership Program. This program is designed for those who may have been already in managing in the executive level. This will be start, I believe, May 16th. And actually, no, the end of May 16th. So it starts March 28th through May 16th. And this will be held every Thursday for 8 weeks, from 1:30 to 8 p.m. So if you are interested in receiving any information on that, my email will also be brought up at the end, and you can email me and I can give you that information and even send you one of our PDF information on that program.
Great, thank you, Bridget. Okay, let's dive into supervisory skills. So supervisory skills, in the spring, we offer Series 2. A question that comes up regularly that we may see in the Q&A box when we pause is, do you have to take Series 1 first? And the answer is no. They are interchangeable. So you don't have to have taken, there's no prerequisites for this. And the great thing about supervisory skills is that you can take this as a series, meaning you can take all 5 and enroll in the program, or you can take individual half-day classes. So let's say you're just looking at developing your team and generations, leading a cross-generational workforce. You could just enroll in those 2 as half-day sections. And as mentioned earlier, we're offering the flexibility of morning or afternoon, giving you the maximum amount of flexibility for your schedule. So we're going to dive into each of these a little bit and tell you about the instructors and the content. So first, we have Juggling Multiple Priorities on April 3rd with Lisa Montanaro. Lisa is a keynote speaker who travels around the country. She's an author and coach. She has her own method called the Decide method that's trademarked to her, and she talks a little bit about that in this class. She really, though, goes into how can you become more efficient. And she talks about different strategies and tools. She brings in online tools and apps and different options for you, which I love because she doesn't have just, even though she has her trademarked method, she also recognizes that different personality styles organize differently. And so she gives you just different options and then ends the class with an action plan for how you can make change in your own prioritization and time management. So this is a great class to kick off the series on April 3rd. We then move into Developing Your Team with Diane Davidson. And this class has an assessment that goes along with it called the Learning Type Measure Assessment. And it measures your learning style. And she talks about those styles as how can you lead teams? How can you be more aware of your team style? How can you improve engagement through understanding each other's styles? How can you lead effective meetings? So that's really the foundation for this class. And Diane actually travels the world as a professional singer and performer. So she's got quite a background, and she has worked in public and private sector and has just a really interesting background. So people love her classes. And then we get into solutions-focused thinking with Leslie Bosserman. And this class is brand new last year, so this is the second time. It was very well received. It's all about being more positive in your problem-solving skills and changing your perspective to look at it with more of an appreciative inquiry. If you haven't heard that term, it's really about kind of asking questions and thinking positively about how can you come to a solution versus just focusing on the problem. And so she has a model, a solutions-focused coaching model that she walks through. Leslie owns her own professional practice called Lead with Intention. She's a certified coach. She does organizational development and team facilitation. She really focuses on positive psychology. So that is a perfect complement for this class. She has a bundle of energy. So that's solutions-focused thinking on April 17th. And then we move into leading a cross-generational workforce. You may recognize the name in the picture. That's me. I will be teaching this course. And this course really gets into what are the different characteristics of the generations, and especially gets people starting to think about the iGen. That's kind of the tagline for this, iGen and you. The iGen, or the Generation Z, they're the ones that are just now starting to graduate college. And so a lot of people have been really focused on the millennials, and yet not on the radar yet is this Generation Z, who are coming very quickly. And so this class talks a lot about that, but then really helps the focus on empathy and respect for each of the generations. And I won't toot my own horn on my background, but I have a master's in leadership with a thesis done on the Generation Z, and I've been working for the continuing and professional education for over 5 years now. So I will also bring some energy to the class. And then finally, we conclude with coaching employees with Dawn Carner. And Dawn is an executive coach and consultant. She has more than 25 years of experience. And she really talks about the role of the leader as a coach. And what is that? How is that different than other skills that you need, like performance management or mentoring? So she talks a lot about the differences, and then she walks through a model and gives you some really great practice. So those are the classes, and Bridget's going to just talk about the logistics for these. So Bridget?
Yes, so session series 2 is actually the one that we will be starting in spring, which is April 3rd to May 5th. And again, that we have morning and afternoon classes. Our session 1, which is in fall of 2019, we do not have the dates for that yet, but you can always check our website upcoming, and we will have the dates for that as well. And you'll be able to register for that one probably closer to the summer. So those are our topics: juggling multiple priorities, developing your team, solutions-focused thinking, and our leading cross-generational and coaching employees. So the cost for this per class is $295, and if you would like to take the complete series, it's $1325, and so you really save $150 when you enroll in the series. Again, we have our 10% discount for groups of 3 or more, and if you enroll by March 20th, you also get a 10% discount, and you will also be able to use the $100 off coupon that will be available at the end of this information session.
Great, thank you. And just to clarify, the $100 coupon is only applicable to the program, but the 10% discount does apply per class.
Yes.
Great. All right, so let's pause. I think I saw a question in the Q&A box pop up, so let's see if we can answer that. Is it possible to receive a recording of this session after it's finished? Unfortunately, I'm going to have to leave early for another meeting. Yes, we are recording this, so we will make sure to send out the link, and we also encourage you to share that with your friends as well. Are there any other questions on supervisory skills or anything else? Please use the Q&A box. We'll pause for 1 minute here, and then we'll get to the management development program. We're going to have another pause after the management development program for any other questions. So I am going to continue on. Okay, let's talk about the management development program. So the management development program is a little bit different than the supervisory skills in that it is a cohort-based program. So in this case, you enroll in the entire program. You are not able to take these classes as individual classes. They do build on themselves, and it gives you an opportunity to get to know class members and grow your network. And so the supervisory skills program is geared more towards those who are new to supervision, who want to step into supervision. Many of you answered that in the early poll of the session, or those who have been in supervisory roles but haven't really had any formal training. So the management development is the next progression in our series of leadership program offerings. This program is geared to those who are in middle management positions. Maybe you're managing supervisors, maybe not. Maybe you're managing larger teams. Could be that you have a lot of experience managing and you've had some of those basics, but you're looking for that next level of development. So this is the program for you. So it is 3 consecutive weeks. The first one is May 8th. We kick off with Gabe Lewell, and he talks about the changing role of the manager, how it's evolved over time. And then he talks about key performance indicators. Really, how do you set expectations for your employees, and then how do you hold them accountable to that? And that's really that section. And then really gets into motivation and coaching. And Gabe is a organizational consultant. He works for SMUD. He has experience in HR, instructional design, training, coaching, and he's currently working on his PhD in organizational leadership. So he brings a wealth of knowledge in theory as well as practice, and he has a lot of fun games, I will say, that keep people interested. So then we get into the Communicating for Results class on May 15th with Kim Silvers. And this class really dives deeper into communication. How do you communicate? How do you provide feedback in good and bad situations of performance? And then she really gets into performance reviews and performance management when you have to address poor performance. She has a great model that shows up time and time again on practicing feedback. And so I think people really take away a lot out of this class. Kim has more than 20 years of HR management experience. She has her own company called Silvers HR that she founded almost 20 years ago. And her team has worked with hundreds of California employers in policy development, compensation, performance management. So she just has a tremendous amount of experience. And included in this class is the DISC assessment. So I want to just kind of walk through that. And as I walk through the DISC assessment, I want you to think about which category or dimension you would fall into. I'm going to go over each of them, and then we're going to do a poll. So make sure you're thinking about this as we walk through it. So let's start with the D. The D stands for dominance. This person really emphasizes results, the bottom line, confidence. Very direct. They're an outgoing, task-oriented person. They're focused on getting things done. How can I get tasks completed? They want to get to the bottom line as quickly as possible. They want to make it happen. You can see, they see the big picture. They might be blunt, direct, straight to the point. So that's the D. The I stands for influence. This person places emphasis on influencing others. They're really the outgoing, people-oriented person that want to interact, socialize, have fun, They might be focused on others' perception of them. They're really relationship-based. They're optimistic. They like to collaborate. They don't want to be ignored. They may have a lot of enthusiasm for ideas. So that's the influence person. The S stands for steadiness. This person places the emphasis on cooperation, sincerity, dependability. They're people-oriented, but a little more reserved than our influence people. They enjoy relationships. They want to work together as a team, but they're a little more calm. They might not show as much enthusiasm. They have humility. They want to be supported and support others. So that is our steadiness. And then finally, our C is our conscientiousness. And they really are placing emphasis on accuracy, expertise, quality, competency. So they're like the D, more task-oriented, but where the D is a little bit more assertive, the C is task-oriented but more reserved, a little more quiet. They want independence, reasoning, facts, details. They don't want to be wrong. So that's our C. So we're going to walk through kind of a fun little thing here before we get to the poll. So if you're on this webinar and you're a D, this might be going through your mind. Give me the facts. Tell me how much it costs. Give me the times. I got a meeting. I hope this ends on time or early. Let's go, let's go, let's go. If you're the I, you want to know, how much interaction am I going to have with other people, other organizations? You would have wanted this to be in person. You're kind of bummed that we're online. You may not even be on today. If you're the S, you're saying, let me know how much I'm going to learn. How is this going to impact my life? You would have loved to have a chat activity so that you could chat with others. You want to know the meaning of the programs. And if you're a C, you want information on the quality. So you were really interested in the instructor bios. Who are these people? You probably noticed a typo on the presentation, and that's okay. We went through it. I had one of my C's go through it, but you may have noticed a typo and you're hoping that doesn't represent the quality. So now that we've kind of gone through the styles and who you might be, let's launch a poll and see, what do you think? You are. So here we go. Now that you know, do you think you fall into dominance, influence, steadiness? Oh my goodness, we're all over the place. I love it. So I'm hoping my conscientious people, if you noticed a typo, feel free to email us afterwards. We love to know. Interesting, this is kind of comical actually, that we don't have any influence. And even my little funny slide about influence, I said you may not even be on this info session. So sure enough, we don't have any influencers on this poll. I love it. All right, we're gonna go ahead and move on and wrap up the final class for MDP, and that is Management Development Program, and that is the Manager as Team Leader. Diane Davidson again. So you saw her in the supervisory skills. This is a more advanced, so in the supervisory skills, she does the half day on developing your team. In this Management Development Program, it's a full day. It also does include the learning styles because that's kind of a foundation for how she goes about it. But in this case, she really focuses on trust and relationships and achieving outcomes. She builds upon the DISC as well. So she has worked with Kim to ensure that there's a flow and that she's incorporating the DISC assessment and styles and tying that to learning styles. So it's a really great build on the DISC assessment. And that is how we wrap up the Management Development Program with Diane. So Bridget, do you want to talk about some of the logistics?
So yes, again, this is a 3-day program, and this starts, they're on Wednesdays, so May 8th, 15th, and 22nd from 9 to 4. This includes the morning refreshments as well as lunch. And for the cost for this program is $19.50. Again, it's for the whole program. You take this as a full program. And you do receive a 10% discount for groups of 3 or more, and also if you enroll by April 24th.
Great. And we include lunch in this one to get, kind of give you that opportunity to network with others and get to know other people in either private or public sector who are dealing with many of the same challenges that you are. So, and the $100 discount is also good for this one. So now that you have heard about all three of these, the supervisory skills, management development, as well as the conversational intelligence, we have a final poll to just kind of have you think, now that you've learned about our leadership programs, which do you think is a fit for you? Conversational intelligence, supervisory skills as a series, maybe the individual supervisory class, or you're not sure. It looks like we're split between supervisory and management development, and some of you are unsure. If you're unsure, we're going to end in a moment with our information on a slide, and I highly encourage you to take down our email or phone numbers. Probably Bridget, more importantly. She is much more available to answer questions and willing to do that. But either one of us are happy to answer any questions. So if you're unsure after today, we would love to talk to you a little bit more. So thank you for taking the poll. We're just going to wrap up here with a little bit final information. I wanted to let you know, coming in August, we're going to be offering a second specialized skill. So the conversational intelligence that Janet went over in the beginning of this session is our February, our winter specialized skill offering. We also have a specialized skill offering in August called Leading Through Emotional Intelligence and Coaching. And the dates have already been decided, August 13th, 20th, and 27th. And you can see the price there, and it will be available to register soon. If it's not already, it might already be. So I know Bridget's got that in the system. It just kind of sometimes takes a refresh, but it should be available soon on our website if you're interested in that program. And if you want more details, you can contact Bridget or myself for more details. Our specialized skills programs are really deep dives into a topic. And they're geared toward any level who wants more information in a specific content area. And so with that, I'm going to open it up for our final questions before I post our information. All right. I don't see any questions coming in, but Bridget and I will stay on in case there are any that come in. We'd be happy to answer them. And as we promised for attending today, you are going to receive 100%, whoa, not 100% discount. We don't offer free trainings, $100 discount. Did want to remind you though, the best discount available is that group discount or the early enrollment now. So if you get off the phone today and enroll, you're going to get a 10% discount, and that is even better than the $100. So Bridget will be sending out an email with the code with that $100 discount, and so you will receive that. And on this slide, as I mentioned, you see our contact information, our phone numbers, as well as our emails. So I'm going to leave this slide up for those of you especially who said you were unsure, to jot that down. We're going to stay on just another minute. I'm going to go ahead and unmute Janet for a moment to say thank you, Janet, for being with us today.
You're welcome. I'm glad to be there. And if anybody has any information or any questions about more detail about what conversational intelligence is going to be, and kind of more detail about the tools or skills, you can certainly pass them on to me.
Excellent. We absolutely will. And we're really excited about that class and about Janet teaching that. So With that, thank you so much for spending 45 minutes with us to learn about our leadership programs. We're really proud of the programs that we have to offer, and we hope to see you in a class. And we're going to hang on just another minute or two for any questions that may come in, and then we will end the session. But again, thank you for your participation, and we appreciate you being here.